How you do, cousins? It's just old Rusty here, and today we're talking about jewelry.
A one and a two and Rusty the reseller, he'll sell you the shirt off his back. Well, I have done it.
Folks, specifically today, I'm going to give you some pointers on how to inspect jewelry. We're going to look at costume jewelry. We're going to look at fine jewelry. And if you stick around long enough, I'm going to share a variety of specific brand names to look for when it comes to both costume and fine jewelry. And then I'm going to show you a quick video on how I'd look at values and how you can do the same thing on very popular websites like eBay. Let's get into it. Starting off here with this costume jewelry, I put a few pieces here I want to show you, and this is really just to kind of talk about when you're inspecting where to look and generally where you're going to find the maker's mark. On fine jewelry, of course, it may be a number. Usually it's the brand name, the name of the manufacturer on costume jewelry. So this little like cuff bangle type thing, it's fairly attractive looking. You can see it's got a really nice kind of design here. And on the inside, typically around in here is where you're going to find the name of the maker, if there is one. This particular one opens in a really cool way. You got these little parts here you press in and you pull apart, and it widens it. It's still connected, but you can fit your hand in there and then you shut it. I'm going to be looking right around the edges here of the clasp underneath. I might even look on this piece itself, but in this particular instance, the name of the brand is Allco, A-L-L-C-O, and it's right down here at the hinge. So clasps and hinges on pieces of jewelry that have them, like necklaces and bracelets, that's the first place I look for the make. I have a couple of tie bars here. Tie bars and cufflinks and things are not as in style anymore, so they're usually not as valuable. But this one looks like a sword. It's got a little handle here. This one is a horse's head with a horseshoe. And again, like most pieces of jewelry, we're going to turn them over. That's really where we get a lot of the information. This one right here is a brand called Swank. I'm going to see if I can get it to zoom. Come on now. Zoom in on my finger. There we go. So Swank. You can see that right here. That's a pretty popular brand name with these. Here's another one right here called Anson, and you can see it right here very clearly. A-N-S-O-N. Hickok is another one. Anson, Swank, and Hickok are the most popular ones you're going to probably find for tie bars. Moving on over here, I'm going to show you, this is just a little brooch. It's a letter. Sometimes they're going to have, little different types of gemstones, rhinestones, sometimes glass, sometimes plastic. Again, we're going to turn this over. On the back of brooches, they could really be just about anywhere. They could be along the side and the back, like this one in this case. I'm going to flip it over here. Nope, I was right the first time. Right there. You can see this says Trifari. And it has a little crown at the top of it right there. So this would be considered what they call a crown Trifari, which is the brand Trifari. But there was a period of time earlier in their history, the older stuff, the more vintage stuff, is got a crown over it. Sometimes it'll be down here. Sometimes you could even see something on this little pin as well, or even on the sides of it right here. I've seen them on the ends, particularly with really old pieces. So you really want to inspect the entire piece here, the entire back. Sometimes it may just be letters. In this case, it's a full word. When I'm looking at necklaces, there are times that around a link where these pieces connect, you might see something. But the first place I always look is on the clasp itself or close to the hinge. So in this case, it would clasp like this. Right? So you open it up. I'm going to look on the inside of the clasp. I don't see anything written in there. So we're going to turn it over. I'm looking, and there it is. You can see right here, there is a name. And let me pull this up so we can look at it closely. Right here. N-A-P-I-E-R, Napier, which is a pretty common vintage costume jewelry maker. It definitely has a collector market, and this is it's a single tone. It's a gold tone. It's leaves. It's quite nice. It's good condition. That would be a decent piece to sell. Now I'm left. I wanted to pull out a couple of examples of earrings here. This one has what they would call an aurora borealis. It's kind of this iridescent rhinestone. It's made out of plastic, maybe interspersed with a couple of pieces of glass, and then right here with pink is enamel. So it's got it's kind of got this softer sort of earth tones, like fall leaf kind of color with this little bit of iridescence there. You always turn it over again, and very quickly you're going to see on the back of the clip, this opens up. That's how it would clip on the ear. On the back here it says Weiss, W-E-I-S-S, and that's a decent brand. It sells pretty well. It's a good collector market. You're gonna, sometimes you'll find it on the outside like this that we saw, sometimes on the inside here, and sometimes there'll be a mark on the back like that. Moving down to over here, we got one that just a white color, but this gold pattern with little bumps around it. Kind of interesting look. This is what they call a screw back. So what you would do is you'd unscrew this entirely. Now this one actually is a combination screw back and hinge. So there are ones that would just fold back. This one will fold back as well, but it also screws up and down. And the screw like this is indicative of much older pieces. On a piece like this, again, you can look around here. You can look sometimes on this little bar here, there'll be something. In this case, you're going to see that there's a name Haskell right here, and that's a pretty good brand. That brand sells quite well, at least right now on eBay. Sometimes also you'll see on the bottom or even on the top of the screw back piece that there'll be some writing. In this case, there is some writing here as well. And this says PAT, patent, and then there's a number here. So the patent number that is associated with this particular hinge or this particular device, this screw piece here, someone patented that, and if they're going to utilize that on their jewelry, they had to put that patent number. Finally here, I got this piece. Again, we're turning it over, and pretty easy to see from the beginning here, Castle Cliff. It says, I mean, that's not one I'm terribly familiar with, but this is another one of those that will pop back. You can see that it pops back. It's just sort of adhered here on the back with metal. It can kind of bend. You got to be careful with it, delicate. But it's a nice looking color. It's this coral color. It's made to look like pink coral, but of course it's just plastic. But that's an example of doing your research, kind of examining small pieces of jewelry like earrings. Now I have a few examples of fine jewelry I want to talk about. Now keep in mind, I find fine jewelry often in and around costume jewelry. It's either not marked, or it's marked not very well, or the marking that's visible is such that the person who has it does not know what they have. And that's pretty common. You shouldn't just assume if there's a basket full of costume jewelry that it's all worthless, because I find valuable things in locations like that all the time. Here's an example of like a pin. And if you look at it here, it says Tandy Corporation. Right there, Tandy Corp. I'm going to see if I can zoom in. And down here, you're going to see a couple of little gemstones. Why, these are little, this is like a pink sapphire, and that is amethyst. These are genuine, semi-precious gemstones. So this is a type of back that, instead of like the old ones that you pinched that were cheaper, this is a little bit heavier duty, a little bit nicer. You still pull on the back of this to take it off the pin, and then just like the earrings and other things, we're going to turn it over. And on the back here, you'll see that this says CFJ, that's probably the manufacturer, 1-10 10K, 1/10 10 carat. Now, you will not, on this one, you're not seeing anything that says EP or GF, which would stand for electroplated or gold filled. Gold filled and electroplate means that there's just this thin layer on the outside of the base metal that has gold on it. But this is just giving you a percentage of the purity. So 1/10, 10% of the metal in this piece is 10 karat solid gold. Okay, this whole thing is not solid gold, 10 karat solid gold, only 10% of it is. But people will still buy this for the gold content. People will buy this for the gemstones. And then there's someone who worked for the Tandy Corporation or collects pins from old industries that used to give these out to employees for service, for working 10, 20, 30 years, that kind of thing. There's several different types of collectors for this type of piece. Here you have an old pocket knife. It is still functional. It's old. It could use some sharpening, but it's got this very pretty color to it. This tone is a gold tone. It's got this old kind of script looking design in it, and then a partial chain that really, this probably didn't go. It might have gone to this. It's a little bit different color, so my guess is that this was a chain that was attached to maybe a lady's pocket watch at one time. But if I take this off, if I pinch that down and I pull this off for the moment, if you ever come across pocket knives that you think might have gold or silver content, you're going to want to look around the bottom and top, like the edges essentially. And then if it has a little hanger, look on that. In this case, I'm going to zoom in here. On the edge here it says gold filled. Now it does not give you a percentage. Common percentages were 1/20th 12 karat gold, or like we just saw a moment ago, 1/10 10 karat, things like that. So this does have gold content in it, but it's not solid gold. It just has a thin layer of gold on the outside. That's what gold filled means. A lot of people are not aware that there is gold content in things like watches and even old glasses. So when you're looking at a watch, the best thing to do is to look on the underside. This can be a little difficult if it has the actual watch band on it, whether it's metal or leather or something like that. But you're going to want to look at what it has written on the back. Sometimes things that have gold content will have it written, or platinum, for example, will have it written on the back. Sometimes you would actually have to open up the case and look on the back side of this case. This right here is a bull of a watch, and you can see it's water resistant, bull of a watch, and if you look over here it says 10 karat gold filled case. So this entire case has a thin layer of 10 karat gold on it. People will buy this just for the gold content. People will buy these sometimes because of the brand or the particular model or style of that watch that corresponds with the movement inside. The higher number of jewels that is represented in a watch, typically the better time it keeps and the more valuable watch it is. You almost never find solid gold or gold watches that have like 7 jewels or 12 jewels. Usually you're looking in the 17 to 20 some jewels if it has a precious metal on it. So keep in mind, when you're looking at old watches, they may have gold content. Also, old pairs of reading glasses or normal glasses can also have gold content in them. The places that you're going to look on a pair of glasses like this would be 2 locations. You're going to look on the inside of the nose bridge. Usually the inside, it could sometimes be, depending on what the bridge style is like, it could be on the bottom, it could be on the top, but you're going to look at the nose bridge. Then you're also going to look at the inside of the pieces that come over your ears. So in this case, I'm going to try to zoom in here if I can. Okay, you're going to see, you may not be able to see it real well, but there is some writing on the edge here. So in this particular case, there's writing here, and there is also going to be writing where is it on here? Is it on the top? No, I guess not. It's a really cool etched bridge, though, for that nose. Okay, let's go back to here again on this side. See if I can get it to zoom in again for me. Bear with me. There we go. All right. 1/10 12 karat GF. So 1/10, 10% of the metal in this has 12 karat gold on the outside of it. A lot of these are like this. This particular pair is fairly valuable because they are perfectly round glass spectacles. You'll see ones with different shapes. Sometimes they're have 5 sides, sometimes 6, sometimes 8, and this one is round. They're really nice. Always take a look. If you can get these things, sell regularly, like routinely, for $18 to $20 for a pair. So if you ever find these at a thrift store or antique store for $5, $10, it's certainly worth it. You can sell those for quite a bit more than that. And then finally, a lot of people do not know that old silverware can be made of precious metals, and the whole thing, it doesn't have to have the whole thing be made of that. It could just be partially made of that. For example, in this case, we have this old kind of knife here, and you can see where it says stainless right there. But if you look very closely here at where the handle, which is clearly a different color than this, is attached, it says stainless, sorry, not stainless, it says sterling handle. So sterling silver. This part, the heaviest part, that represents the largest weight of this, is made out of sterling silver. 925 parts out of 1,000 silver. So this is not just your run-of-the-mill old piece of silverware. It actually could sell for decent money because not only is it kind of beautiful, you polish that up, it looks shine real nice, but also it is made of a precious metal. Last part of this bit here with precious metals is you have an old brooch with onyx. This has got gold content on the edges, and then this is sterling silver. How do I know that? Well, I turn it over. This is not a very old clasp. In fact, it's been glued on here. I believe that this is a replacement. And you can do that by just searching and looking at the way that these changed over time. But if you look very, very close here, you'll see that there is a stamp in the middle that says 925. It's very faint, and this is very, very oxidized, very, very tarnished. It needs to be polished. But always on the back of brooches is where you're going to look. Rings, it's going to be on the inside. I'm going to pull up a ring right here on the inside. You're going to want to look like on the inside of the band, all the way up. Sometimes they're all the way up in the bottom here. This particular one I need to test because it doesn't have anything written on it, but I did test this, and it is a genuine diamond. So I believe we've got onyx and a diamond. This is likely gold filled, if not a percentage gold in that ring itself. Folks, be on the lookout for these brand names, among others, but these are the most popular ones for costume jewelry we're talking about. Miriam Haskell, Trifari, particularly crown Trifari, where there's a little crown over the T. You're going to look for Coro, Dior, as in Christian Dior. You're going to look at Carnegie, Chanel, Coco Chanel, Roman, Napier, Weiss, Eisenberg, Hobie or Hobey, and Mazer. When it comes to high-end jewelry, these are some names to keep an eye out for as well. And most of my audience is in the United States, so there's definitely many others. But around here, you want to keep an eye out for Van Cleef and Arpels. Those things go for horrendous amounts of money. Chanel, Tiffany & Company, Cartier, David Yurman, and Bulgari, maybe? Bulgari? Something like that. Don't know how to pronounce it, but you'll know it when you see it. Well, folks, that's it for today. Keep a lookout for more videos on jewelry to come. Take a look at our playlists on jewelry and other antique and collectible things that you probably have at your house and you don't even know that it has some good value. Good luck out there. We'll see you soon.
Beat-o, boop, boop, let's go make some money.
Rusty, Rusty, Rusty have